Hello world, welcome to the 63rd Climate Change Emergency Awareness Protest Rally, whatever. I'm in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. It is Thursday, 11 a.m. Next week will be the 64th one on February 28th at 11 a.m. That'll be a Friday. The reason I'm doing this today is tomorrow I'm burying my sister, my wife and I, and so we have to do that on Friday, and that'll come in conflict with the usual climate change protest. So last night was the Democratic debate. I'm in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, USA, by the way. Last night was the Democratic debate on TV for President of the United States. The moderators decided to go with 12 minutes of questions about climate change, which was only 2 questions. That's less than 10% of the entire 120 minutes that was devoted to other subjects. Even though all the candidates says is an existential threat, the moderators feel that climate change is not a big, important issue. None of these debates have involved climate change at all, basically. And just because it's the end of the world and your children are going to die, but there's no reason to ask questions about that as to what to do. Go on important stuff. Debating each other about this or that happened in the past. So I'm being sarcastic, but it's absolutely ridiculous as to where the corporate media is going. America basically is where dreams go to die now. We're a nation that says they can't do this, we can't do that. We used to be the nation of we could do this, we can send people to the moon, we can end World War II, we can defeat the evil Nazis and everything, and now look at us. We're just pathetic. We're just saying we can't do climate change. We can't. It's too big to tackle. It's too this. It's too that. And it's really sad where our country has gone. We're really timid and we're uninformed. And a big responsibility that goes to the politicians, and then an even huger responsibility goes to the media. They're bought and sold and owned by 6 families, and that's about it. And so you don't get the real news in the United States. You have to go to other means around the world, and Facebook is a good place for that as far as searching out other websites about climate change and what's happening. If you want some real climate change scientists, go to YouTube. You got Paul Beckwith, you got Peter Carter, you got Peter Wadhams, and you got Kevin Anderson. If you go to those 4, you can be pretty well fully informed. You can be fully informed as to what's happening. As you can tell, we got these geniuses around here that just yell stuff out the window at me. And it's really sad. Their children are going to die. I don't care what the dogmatic position is, what party you're in and everything. The Republicans seem to feel they're all about winning rather than doing what's right and paying attention to the science. That policy will definitely get us all killed. It's straight up murder, what's happening. And the lead politician is definitely on a murderous path for the whole world. This is 7.6 billion people are going to die as a result of the United States and their policies. We're not leading the world, and we're actually pulling the world down the shithole. So it's really sad as to what's going to happen, and it's going to be disastrous and a Mad Max situation. So I really suggest people get their act together and stop being about this party or that party and actually pick candidates. What's that? I don't have one, thanks. So it's really sad as to what's happening, and people feel they can just blurt out whatever they want, and it's a sad situation what's happening. Now the Democrats aren't doing much better because you have de facto denialism rather than overt denialism from the Republicans. The Democrats, by de facto denialism, is that they're not engaged as to what's happening. They'll say there's a climate change threat, but even the candidates are saying by 2050 we need to do this or that. Newsflash, there won't be anyone left by 2050. It's going to be hell on earth by then, and I'll be surprised if any life is left on earth by 2050, the way the climate's going. So you have 1 or 2 candidates that are sort of getting it. They use the term existential threat. They don't understand what that means, I don't think. All that means is a threat against humanity, but they're not putting it in context and why that it's a threat. Time frames and feedback loops and what the science says. They just blurt out these talking points, and people don't ask them, what do you mean by that, and what are you citing, and how much time do we have, things like that. So everyone's kicking the can down the road saying 2050 because it's easier to deal with that way, rather than saying by 2023 we're going to have a big problem, by 2026 we're all in deep trouble. So, it's going to come down to this presidential election. This is the last chance we have as a world, okay? And the whole world needs to focus on America as to what's happening. We will absolutely kill the rest of you who are listening to this, and I'm probably more foreign people outside the United States listening to this broadcast than people from the United States, and especially here in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. So you need to put the pressure on the United States and really focus on us as to the proper candidate as to who's going to become president. Obviously this guy in the White House is hell-bent on killing us all with his policies. This is a murderous situation that's going on, and it's straight outright murder and crimes against humanity. So hopefully people wake up and choose the right candidate. I'm not saying Democrats are the answer either. Probably there's someone in the Green Party that has it more together, but all we've got is a two-party system here in this country, basically. So, think about before you vote rather than, your party winning or this party winning, because you need to look across the table at your child and realize that child probably will not make it past the next 10 years if things keep going the way they're going. So you got a massive bad situation going on. If you don't believe me, go to those people I described on YouTube: Paul Beckwith, Peter Wadhams, Peter Carter, and Kevin Anderson. And then there's other groups, Extinction Rebellion as well from London. So go on the computer and check things out. The climate has changed. Here in Gettysburg, PA, for example, I know it's weather, but basically we haven't had snow all winter. We had one snow that stuck around, it turned to ice, and that was it. The climate for everyone is changing, and that is the term climate change. Yeah, you might get more snow, and you might get drought, you might get flooding. The end-all game is that we're not going to have food or habitat the way things are going. So you got to wake up as to what's happening. There should be people out here right now. I don't care how cold it is, too cold, too scared, too this, too that. Sooner or later, it's going to become too late. And we're probably at that point now, but you got to at least try. And right now, Americans are sitting on their hands waiting for the next election. And that's a suicide move, okay? It's a suicide move and a murderous move, because you have the chance to save others and you won't do it. You won't come out. So Americans need to get out in the streets, and Europeans need to get out in the streets, and Asians and everyone else. Africans are up against it as well, and they're having some serious situations with locusts in East Africa, and the bottom third of Africa is in a severe drought, as is the bottom third of South America. So hopefully people wake up soon. There's going to be an ambulance coming by in a second. I'll have to stop for a second then. Hold on. So hopefully that person's all right. I'm sure they're not, since they're sending out the meat wagon. All right. So we need to, wake up as to what's happening. Ask your local farmers, here in the United States, Gettysburg, outside the United States, everywhere. The farmers are up against it right now, and they're feeling the effects of what's happening with the climate. Also ask people who are aware, that are older, my age and older, that have been around and actually are paying attention that this is not normal. This is the new normal, and that new normal is bizarre. Okay, so ask the old people as to how things used to be, and they'll give you an eye-opener as about how the climate used to be, and it was fairly stable. You could count on this, count on that. So what happens is that places like the Paris Agreement and everything, you have models that come out that they come to an agreement or a computer model, and it's the lowest common denominator. They don't go into that things are always going faster than the models predict. Things are always worse than the agreements predict. Right now we're locked into 3.5 degrees to 4 degrees, they're saying, but in reality we're probably talking 8 to 16 degrees Celsius increase. 8 is uninhabitable, 16 you'll die as soon as you go outside. So this is where the Earth is heading, and not only for us as humans, but we also got to think about life on Earth itself. Let's say we all go extinct. We got to give some form of life a chance to exist later on, so some evolution can occur and some life exists on Earth. But right now we're going to wipe out everything. We're going to end up like Venus. So it's going to be a hothouse, and there's no getting back from that at that point. So hopefully people wake up. By 2023, I feel that everyone will know someone, as I do now, that has been profoundly affected by climate change. By 2026, we will all be affected by climate change in some form or another, if not dying. So we need boots on the ground right now. We need people out on the street. We got a college right down the street here. It's called Gettysburg College. The kids don't come out. We got high schools. Kids can protest after school's over at 2:30. The colleges could be protesting. They're supposedly the smartest kids around, and evidently not. So, we have retirees in this town, and we have younger people and house mothers and house fathers, and people could be out trying to save their child's life and putting pressure on their politicians with that. We should have enough people out here to split the protest in two, and that half the people would be here at the square and the other half would be at the courthouse, putting pressure on the politicians to start doing the right things, start thinking ahead. But it's not happening, and that would actually affect politics in Pennsylvania, which would affect politics in the whole United States, and could have a chance to save or at least mitigate the calamity that's coming. And this is going to be a calamity, a very painful one and a very ugly one. So hopefully, someone will get out and start doing something. Next protest is next Friday, the 28th of February. See you later.